In this lesson, you'll prepare for an EQ IELTS formula mock test with your trainer.
In the self-study that follows, you'll
Review EQ IELTS formulas,
learn how to give good answers to IELTS Part 1 warm-up questions,
master useful native speaker words and phrases about the common IELTS Part 2 and Part 3 topic, the environment.
Once you've completed the self-study for this lesson, you'll then have a mock IELTS interaction with your trainer in which Parts 1 and 2 will be based around the topic, the environment.
Let's move on to review some EQ IELTS formulas.
Remind yourself of the 31 EQ IELTS formulas by looking at the table below. Then move on to the exercise that follows to practice using these formulas to answer common IELTS speaking test questions.
Now, move on to the following exercise to test your understanding of the 31 EQ IELTS formulas.
Remember that after your identification check, the examiner will start asking you some questions.
He or she will begin with some warm-up questions that might be about where you live or about your job or studies.
Let's move on to look at some examples of warm-up questions.
Good morning. Would you like to come in and take a seat, please?
Thank you.
Thank you. Could you tell me your full name, please?
My name is Chen Xiyu.
Where do you come from, Chang Xiyu?
I come from Taiyuan, the capital of Shanxi province.
Can I see your identification, please?
Certainly, here you are.
Thank you. Okay, now I'd like to move on to ask you some questions about yourself. I'd like to ask you about your home. Do you live in a house or a flat?
Does flat mean the same as apartment?
Yes.
Oh, I see. I live in a flat near the center of my hometown.
Is there anything on the walls in your home?
Let me think. Well, yes, there are 1 or 2 old paintings, a few photographs, and a notice board.
And what can you see from the window?
From my bedroom window, I can see lots of other buildings, a main road, a few ugly trees, and 1 or 2 cars.
Is there anything you would change about your apartment to make it better?
EQ IELTS warm-up questions 1. Describing your home.
Warm-up questions 1.
It's very common during IELTS speaking tests that the examiner will ask you to describe your home, its furniture and surrounding environment.
Be prepared to answer the following questions.
Location.
Do you live in a house or a flat or an apartment?
What type of accommodation do you live in?
Where do you live?
Describing your home.
Could you tell me about your home?
What is your house or apartment like?
How many bedrooms does your house or apartment have?
What furniture do you have in your home?
Is there anything on the walls in your home?
What can you see from the window?
Tell me about your neighborhood or area around your home.
To answer these questions, just be prepared to provide simple details about your home and/or its surrounding environment.
Now, test how well you would answer these questions by moving on to the exercise that follows.
Good morning. Would you like to come in and take a seat, please?
Thank you.
Thank you. Could you tell me your full name, please?
My name is Xuemin.
Where do you come from, Xuemin?
I come from Qufu, Confucius' hometown in Shandong province.
Do you mind if I look at your identification, please?
Of course. Here you are.
Now I'd like to ask you about yourself. Let's discuss your family members. Can you tell me how many people in your family?
There were many people in my wider family, but in my close family there were 5 people: my mother, my father, my sister, my grandmother and I.
Do you all live together in one house or apartment?
Yes, we do. To be honest, it is a bit cramped because our apartment is not too big. Since my grandfather passed away, my grandmother has been living with us.
Do you all get on well together?
Oh yes, we get on really well. My grandmother has a really good sense of humor, and my father always likes to play jokes on people. Maybe some people would think we're a strange family because we're always laughing and joking with each other, but we really have lots of fun together.
Do you think that it's important for people to live with their parents until they get married?
EQ IELTS warm-up questions 2. Describing your family or who you live with.
Warm-up questions 2.
Another common topic for IELTS speaking test warm-up questions is your family or the people who you live with. Be prepared to answer the following kinds of questions.
Size of your family.
How many people are in your family?
How many people live together in your apartment?
Your relationship.
Do you get on well with the people you live with?
How well do you get on with the people you live with?
The examiner may follow up with questions such as why or why not, depending on your answer.
Now test how well you would answer these questions by moving on to the exercise that follows. The topic for parts 2 and 3 of this lesson's mock IELTS test is the environment.
To help you better prepare for this mock IELTS test, move on to the following page to review some native speaker words which are useful when discussing this topic. Global warming.
Global warming.
Noun, the process in which the temperature of the Earth rises because of an increase in CO2.
In 2009, almost every country met to try and agree what they would do to try and combat global warming.
Rising sea levels. A rise in sea levels.
Rising sea levels. A rise in sea levels.
Noun. As a result of global warming, the ice caps at the North and South Poles are predicted to melt, which will cause the level, height, of the seas and oceans to rise.
Example. It's been predicted that there could be a 1.5 metre rise in sea levels by the end of this century.
Detrimental effect.
Detrimental effect.
Noun. A negative impact, to damage or hurt.
In Laos, lots of the farmers have cleared the hills and valleys of the forests that were once there. This has had a detrimental effect upon the landscape and climate.
Industrial pollution.
Industrial pollution.
Noun. Damage caused to the air, water and land by industrial units, such as factories.
The River Huai in China's Henan province has been the victim of so much industrial pollution that nearly all its fish are dead and the water is undrinkable.
Fossil fuels.
Fossil fuels.
Noun. The collective name for fuels such as coal, oil and gas.
The burning of fossil fuels is a major factor in global warming, according to the latest research.
Renewable energy.
Renewable energy.
Noun. Energy which comes from an inexhaustible source, such as wind energy, solar energy, hydroelectricity, etc.
According to many experts, the only way to slow down global warming is for mankind to use less fossil fuels and make more use of renewable energy.
Wind farm.
Wind farm.
Noun, an area with a large number of wind turbines, machines that turn with the wind to produce electricity.
To get the most wind, many wind farms have to be located on the tops of hills or out at sea. In the UK, many countryside residents have opposed the construction of wind farms because they feel they destroy the beauty of the countryside.
Solar power.
Solar power.
Noun, the method of using solar panels which catch sunlight and change it into electricity.
Solar power is a very underdeveloped method of creating electricity. I hope more money is invested in this clean, renewable energy in the future.
Hydroelectric power.
Hydroelectric power.
Noun, the method of using moving water to create electricity.
I've been told that hydroelectric power is extremely difficult to establish at certain sites because the conditions have to be exactly right.
Sustainable development.
Sustainable development.
Noun, development which causes very little or no damage to the environment and can therefore continue for a long time.
Unfortunately, most of the world's development so far has been unsustainable, hence all of the environmental problems we have right now.
Recycling.
Recycling.
Noun, the process of collecting and reusing materials and objects that have been used already.
The Japanese are very strict about recycling. Every household must divide its rubbish into over 15 types ready for the rubbish men to collect. This makes the recycling process much smoother and more efficient.
Littering.
Littering.
Noun, the act of dropping or throwing rubbish, especially pieces of paper, in public places.
Lots of people say they love their country, but I don't believe them when I see all the littering that they do.
Conserve.
Conserve.
Verb, to keep or protect something from waste, damage or change.
Everybody knows it's really important to conserve the rainforests, but unfortunately, no one has found an effective way of doing so.
You're about to have a mock IELTS test in which parts 2 and 3 are based on the topic of the environment.
Before you connect to your EQ native speaker trainer, we'd like you to make some notes on the following.
The environment.
Dangers facing the environment.
Ways of protecting the environment.
Different energy sources and their impact on the environment.
People and the environment.
Different places people decide to live in.
Why people live in different kinds of places.
Why people join environmental groups.
Environment and animals.
Whether animals should be protected.
Ways of protecting animals.
Make sure you make notes on the above topics, because your trainer is sure to ask you about them during your mock IELTS test interaction.
Get ready! You are about to connect to your EQ trainer for a one-on-one lesson based on what you've reviewed and practiced today. Please make sure
you are somewhere with a fast and stable internet connection. If you use your phone, that you have a good clear signal and plenty of battery. You are sitting in front of a computer in a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Good luck!